When I first met Daniel, he was 21, barely out of college, cocky in the way only young men can be, with that ridiculous kind of confidence that made me laugh and roll my eyes at the same time. I was 2 years older, already juggling a part-time job and night classes. He worked construction back then, strong arms and sunburned skin, always boasting about how real men don't sit in offices. He said it like he was teasing me, but I know he believed it. And me, I was flattered. I won't lie. When you're 19 and someone looks at you like you're the most fascinating person alive, you don't question the details. You don't ask yourself if that admiration will fade or if the arrogance will grow. You just let yourself be pulled in. Daniel had this way of making everything feel like an adventure. Our first date wasn't dinner or movies. It was sneaking into an abandoned park at midnight, sharing cheap beer, laughing at shadows until our stomachs hurt. He had a rebel streak, and I thought it was charming. He wasn't like the other guys I knew who were already worrying about resumes and mortgages. Within a year, we moved in together. By 2 years, we were married. Everyone told me it was too fast, but when you're young, you think time is on your side. You believe in forever because you don't know how heavy forever really is. The first years were sweet. He'd surprise me with flowers from the gas station, always insisting that it's the thought that counts. We'd stay up late eating junk food, binging TV shows, arguing about which superhero was better. Life felt light. It felt manageable. If you had told me then that 17 years later I'd be the secretary, maid, and mother to a grown man, I would have laughed. But seeds plant themselves quietly, and you don't notice until they've grown into weeds that choke the whole garden. It started small. "Babe, can you book my dentist appointment? I'm working late." Of course, I said yes. Why wouldn't I? That's what you do when you love someone. Then it was, "Did you pay the electric bill? I forgot again." "Can you grab my mom a birthday card? I don't have time." "Hey, call the bank for me. They're not picking up when I try." Each task by itself was nothing, a drop in the ocean. But oceans are made of drops, and I was the one collecting them, bucket by bucket. By the time we hit our 10th anniversary, I wasn't just his wife. I was his calendar, his assistant, his personal shopper, his therapist. He earned the paycheck, sure, but I earned everything else. I scheduled his medical checkups. I kept track of his car maintenance. I handled Christmas gifts for his family gifts he never even saw until they were unwrapped. When his dad had surgery, guess who made all the phone calls to hospitals and coordinated family visits? Me. Sometimes I'd joke, "You should start paying me a salary." He'd laugh, slap me on the butt, and say, "Yeah, but then I'd have to fire you for complaining." It was meant to be funny, it wasn't. The mental load became this invisible backpack I carried everywhere. He didn't even notice it existed. He thought he was the hard worker because he left the house every morning in a neon vest and steel-toed boots. Meanwhile, I kept our entire lives from collapsing. And when I'd try to explain how tired I was, he'd brush it off. "You don't know what tired is until you've worked 10 hours in the sun. You sit at home. How hard can it be?" That's the thing about invisible work. If it's done right, no one sees it. And if no one sees it, it's easy to pretend it doesn't exist. The resentment crept in slowly. At first, I thought I was just moody, or hormonal, or maybe ungrateful. But then little things started gnawing at me. Like the time I planned his mother's surprise birthday party for weeks, booked the restaurant, sent out invitations, ordered the cake. On the day of, Daniel showed up with a smug grin and announced to everyone, "Look what I put together for Mom!" Everyone clapped. His mom hugged him, and I stood there with a frozen smile, feeling invisible. Or the Christmas when I wrapped gifts for his entire family while he sat on the couch watching football. Later, his brother patted him on the back and said, "You always get the best gifts, man." Daniel winked and took the credit. It wasn't about recognition. Not really. It was about respect, about acknowledgement, about the fact that I was drowning in responsibilities, and he was acting like he was the hero of the story. The fight started around then. "Why is it always me doing everything?" I asked one night, exhausted after paying bills, folding laundry, and preparing lunches for the next day. Daniel shrugged. "Because you're good at it. You know I suck at that stuff." "That's not an excuse. You could at least try." "Why? If you're better at it, why make us both miserable? Just stick to what you're good at, and I'll stick to what I'm good at, working and making money." I stared at him. He honestly thought that was fair. That was when I realized, in his mind, I wasn't his partner. I was his employee. 17 years. That's how long it took for me to finally snap. It wasn't one big fight. It wasn't infidelity or some dramatic betrayal. It was death by 1,000 cuts. One night, after another exhausting day of juggling his chaos, I sat in the kitchen, staring at a pile of unpaid bills. He had promised he'd take care of them this time. But of course, he hadn't. I felt something inside me go quiet. Not rage, not sadness, just silence. I realized that I couldn't do it anymore. Not because I didn't love him, though that love had eroded into something unrecognizable, but because I couldn't keep erasing myself. I packed a bag. The next morning, I told him I was leaving. He laughed at first, thought I was bluffing. Then he got angry. Said I was being dramatic, that I'd never survive without him. But here's the thing. I had already been surviving without him for years. Walking away wasn't easy. It was terrifying. But it was also the first time in almost 2 decades that I felt light. The divorce wasn't messy. Surprisingly, maybe because he thought I'd come crawling back. Maybe because he was too proud to fight. We split assets, went our separate ways. For the first time in forever, I had my own life. Those 5 years after leaving were some of the most healing years of my life. I learned how to enjoy silence without worrying about someone else's demands. I picked up hobbies I'd abandoned: painting, reading, even gardening. I learned how to wake up without dread, how to make decisions without second-guessing myself, how to breathe without feeling like someone was pressing on my chest. Daniel became a ghost. I didn't think about him, didn't check up on him, didn't wonder if he was okay. That part of my life was over. Until one day, the phone rang. And suddenly, the ghost wanted something from me again. It was a Tuesday evening when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost didn't pick up, I don't usually, but something told me I should. "Hello?" "Yeah, it's me." That voice, rougher than I remembered, deeper but unmistakably Daniel. I froze. It had been 5 years since we'd spoken. Not a word, not a text, not a stray email. And now he was calling me out of the blue, as if we were still married, as if nothing had happened. "What do you want?" My voice came out colder than I intended. He sighed, exasperated, like I was already inconveniencing him. "You need to call the insurance company. They won't take you off unless you do it yourself." I blinked. "Insurance company?" "Yeah, you're still listed on my home and auto policy. I've been trying to get it fixed, but they said you have to call too. So can you just do it? Like now?" The entitlement in his tone made my stomach twist. 5 years. 5 whole years, and he still spoke to me like I was his assistant. "Why is this suddenly my problem?" I asked. "Because you're the one on the policy. God, you always make everything difficult. Just handle it, okay? You've created a mess here." Created a mess? I almost laughed. I had walked away from him, from that house, from every damn bill, precisely to escape his messes. "I'll think about it," I said, and hung up before he could argue. The calls didn't stop. Every day for the next week, my phone lit up with his name. If I didn't answer, he left voicemails. Long, irritated rants about how irresponsible I was, how I was ruining his life, how I'd better fix this immediately. By day 3, I stopped feeling guilty. By day 5, I started feeling amused. He hadn't changed at all. Still rude, still bossy, still assuming I'd drop everything to make his life easier. And then, on day 6, he snapped during one voicemail. "You're selfish, you know that? I can't believe you're still screwing me over after all this time. Just do what I asked for once in your life." For once in my life. That line broke something in me, and then healed it. Because for once in my life, I realized I didn't owe him a damn thing. Still, the calls were exhausting. I finally gave in and dialed the insurance company myself. Not for him. For me. To shut him up. The woman on the other end of the line was cheerful, efficient, and polite. "Of course, ma'am, I can help you with that. Let me just pull up the account." I waited, drumming my fingers on the table. After a pause, she said, "I don't see any record of Mr. Carter requesting this change." My eyebrows shot up. "What?" "Yes. If he had contacted us before, it would be noted here. But there's nothing. He's never asked us to remove you." I almost laughed out loud. 5 years of silence. And now he was blowing up my phone because he was too lazy or too arrogant to make a single phone call himself. The agent continued, "I can remove you right now if you'd like. Just to confirm, he'll be switched from a married policyholder to single. That will raise his premium considerably." There was a pause. Then she added, in a slightly conspiratorial tone, "By quite a lot, actually. Is he sure he wants this?" I grinned. The satisfaction warmed me like sunlight. "Oh, yes," I said sweetly. "He's very sure. In fact, since I haven't lived there for 5 years, the policy should really be backdated, don't you think?" The woman chuckled. "You're right. Let's adjust this accordingly." I hung up the phone with a smile so wide it hurt. For once, Daniel was going to feel the weight of his own carelessness. The next day, I got the first angry voicemail. "What the hell did you say to them? They raised my rates through the roof. I just got the bill, and it's insane. Are you trying to ruin me?" I played it twice, savoring every word. "No, Daniel, I wasn't trying to ruin you. You manage that all on your own." Over the next week, the voicemails shifted from fury to desperation. "Do you know how much they're charging me now? This is ridiculous. Can't you just call them back and tell them you made a mistake? Please, I can't afford this right now." Each time, I deleted the messages without replying. I owed him nothing, not my time, not my sympathy, and certainly not my help. I imagined him pacing his living room, fuming, maybe yelling at whatever unlucky woman had come after me. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Here's the thing about revenge. I didn't even seek it. I didn't plot, didn't scheme, didn't set out to make him suffer. He asked for it. He pushed for it. He demanded it. And when I finally gave him exactly what he wanted, the universe twisted the knife for me. His arrogance cost him money. His laziness made it worse. His rudeness turned me from reluctant helper into silent executioner. I never raised my voice. I never broke the law. I never even lied. I simply told the truth, and the truth burned him more than any lie could have. 5 years after walking away from that marriage, I finally felt closure. Not because he suffered, though I won't pretend it wasn't satisfying, but because I no longer felt his shadow looming over me. For once in my life, I didn't save him. And that, in itself, was the sweetest revenge.